They both knew that as soon as their pa came down, he'd spend most of the night huddled in a corner with his drinking buddies playing cards or dice. Betting and gaming were food and drink to their pa, William Daniels. They both jumped as a loud banging on the front door reverberated around the room. John glanced up at the clock on the wall above the bar. 1 minute to go before we open, he said. It's Silas Quirk, she said. We're always open for him. I'll fetch Pa. Although only in his 30s, Silas Quirk was a man used to getting his own way, and not one to be thwarted. But to Hope's mind, that shouldn't mean he had the full run of the place. She couldn't understand why Pa was so enthralled to him. John heaved a sigh and went to open up while Hope went to find her father. In the kitchen, Ma was busy rolling out pastry. Her famed meat pies were a reliable source of income and sold well in the bar. Silas Quirk's arrived, Hope said. I'd best go wake Pa. No need. Her father's voice boomed out. He's knocking loud enough to wake the dead. He winked at Hope. He'll need serving, and nothing pleases him more than the sight of a pretty face. Tell him I'll be there in a minute. John's out there. He'll have served him by now, she said. William Daniels scowled. Get out there and make out you're pleased to see him. He grabbed Hope and propelled her towards the door. A shiver ran down her spine. She couldn't disobey her father, not when he was trying to please Silas Quirk. His temper flared at the slightest provocation these days, and it wasn't worth upsetting him. She stomped into the bar. John had already poured a pint and a whiskey to follow, which he pushed across to Silas. He knew enough not to ask for payment. Pa'll be out in a minute, Hope said, attempting to arrange her lips into the semblance of a smile. Silas took a gulp of beer, put his glass on the bar, and turned to stare at her. Tall and impressively built, every inch of him oozed power and prosperity. Dark hair curled onto the collar of his immaculately cut overcoat. He had the sort of smile well known to make women go weak at the knees and do foolish things. His mesmerising gaze ran over Hope like a buyer inspecting a cow in the market. She coloured under his scrutiny. You're looking very fetching this morning, Hope, he said. Come and join me. I hate to drink alone. Hope stood rooted to the spot. She glanced down at her faded blue dress and warm white apron. Several strands of blonde hair had escaped from under her cap, and she hadn't had time to tidy them. Fetching indeed, she thought. Still, she didn't want to displease him, and by doing so bring her father's wrath upon her. But on the other hand... Good morning, Silas. Relief flooded over as her father arrived in the bar. Ah, William, Silas said. Just the person I want to see. A slow smile spread across Pa's face. The Hope and Anchor offered games of chance and cards, but nothing like the blood sports Silas offered in the Grenadier, where dog-fighting and ratting competitions were fiercely contested, and a good-sized crowd could always be relied upon for those willing to place a bet on their fancy. Hope ruled the day Pa had ever been introduced to such bloodthirsty sport. Games of chance had been enough for him in the past, if it hadn't been for Silas Quirk. She couldn't think of any anguish in their lives that couldn't be traced back to Silas Quirk, or laid at his door. The door opened, and 2 men came in, shaking the rain from their coats. They made their way to the bar where John stood ready to serve them. Hope took advantage of the distraction to return to the kitchen to help Ma with the pies. In the kitchen, Hope saw her younger sister Violet putting on her bonnet and shawl. Out again? She asked, trying to keep the irritation out of her voice. You know she has singing lessons on a Tuesday, Ma said, sensing Hope's irritation. Miss Braithwaite says she's doing really well and all. Calls her the East End's Cockney Nightingale, she does. That's right, ain't it, love? Hope's eyebrows shot up. And I suppose I'm the East End's Cockney Sparrow, she said, dull and brown in comparison. Violet giggled in delight. If the cap fits, she said, as she swept out of the door, slamming it shut behind her. And I don't suppose we'll see her again today, Hope said. Her singing and that theatre's all she thinks about. Don't take on so, Ma said. It's her working in that theatre that's brought this on. Turned her head it has and given her ideas. That was true enough. Since Violet had got a job working afternoons and evening in the theatre box office, being on stage was all she could think about. You know what she's like.